Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, and I want you to look at just how beautiful this 2023 Road Glide CVO is. This is the 120th anniversary limited edition. They only made 1,500 of these bikes, and that paint is just absolutely beautiful. You've really got to see it in person, and you've got to see it in the sun to really appreciate how amazing the paint job is on one of these bikes. On top of that, it's got the 117, it's got liquid cooled lowers, it comes with the factory tour pack, and it came with that terrible upgraded HD audio by Rockford. And that's why we're making this video. Watch as we take this bike apart, upgrade it, and put a much better sound system in it. This video is brought to you by volunteeraudio.com, your #1 source for all things Harley Davidson audio. From individual radios, speakers, and amps to complete plug-and-play amp and speaker systems, we've got you covered. And once you've ordered your package from Volunteer Audio, it includes lifetime tech support. And we have the very best step-by-step installation video so you can install it yourself and save money. All right, so let me show you everything we're going to do to this bike. First off, we need to start with a great source unit. We're going to put the Soundstream Reserve HDHU.14Si radio in it. The stock radio does not have a clean output. It's got very little EQ adjustment, and they're pretty slow and glitchy too. So with this radio, we're going to fix all of those problems and add some features it didn't have before, like custom gauges on screen and much better working Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We're also going to install these awesome liquid cooled lower adapters. These are going to put 6.5s in the bottom where those radiators and the coolant jug is. It's going to add a lot of mid-bass and extra sound, enveloping you as a rider. We're going to be using the Hertz SX165Neos in the upper fairing. They've got an amazing crystal clear tweeter and a really good mid. And to go along with that, we're putting the SV165Neos in the lowers and the tour pack. These are going to give us amazing vocals and a lot better mid-bass. Together, it's going to be a way more volume than we need. As you see, we'll go over all this as we pull this out. We'll compare them to the Rockford speakers in it, show you just how much better it is. We're also going to use our Hertz SP4.900 amplifier. This is the plug-and-play version that we built at Volunteer Audio to replace the HD audio by Rockford system. Now, the factory amp says that it's 400 watts. Now, we just recently tested the new CVO with the 500 watt Rockford amp, and it did 79 watts to each speaker. It's pretty terrible. I'm sure this one does even less, but we're going to take care of that because this is a 1,000 watt RMS. We're going to be sending 190 RMS to our rear 6.5s. The front are going to be a 2 ohm load, so we're going to get 290 RMS to our front stage. It's really going to get these woofers moving. It's going to get that mid-bass good and tight, and it's going to be more volume than our ears can handle, and you can always turn it down if it's too much. We're going to also replace the grills on the tour pack and the lowers as well as the upper to get rid of those Rockford Fosgate logos. We don't want them any more than you do. All right, let's get this bike took apart. I've got my A-team with me. I've got Robbie with me. I've got Scotty with me. You'll see all three of us tackle this bike. We're perfectionists. We're going to make sure it's perfect. We're going to make sure that the owner of this bike is tickled at the end. So watch us take it apart, watch the highlights of the install, and we'll be listening to it very soon. So I want to take a second. I want to show you our liquid cooled lower adapters. This is new for Volunteer Audio. We have another version you've seen in many of our other videos, and they've worked really well. But I saw this new design. It's actually made by Hog Tunes. There's not much that I'm crazy about they do, but this is pretty awesome. It's a two-piece design, and it comes already vivid gloss black on the outer part and flat black on the underside and to the rear. It also has machine screw holes that fit our Hertz speakers perfectly. And when you compare the look of the stock versus this, it just looks so much better. So we're going to be putting these on. If you, we get this question all the time, what do I do if I've got to check my coolant in my liquid cooled lowers? In this case, it's as simple as removing 4 machine screws. Popping the speaker out, checking your fluid. When you're done, put it back in. Not very hard at all. With those with those brass inserts, we're guaranteed you're not going to strip it out as you do those fluid checks in the future. So I really like this design. The other thought is, if you didn't have a wild and crazy paint job like this 120th anniversary, you could easily paint match this. Now with this one being this dark cherry and the way it fades, I don't even have any idea what color you'd paint these to match. We're going to leave it vivid black, and I think it's still going to suit and look really good on this bike. All right, so we're at one of my favorite parts that really blows people's minds, and I want to show this to you. So this is a stock Harley speaker. This is the speaker that is so bad that everybody uses volunteer audio to upgrade their audio, and we appreciate Harley for putting these in. The original speakers actually are made by Rockford Fosgate, and they're pretty terrible, and you'll notice that a piece of metal will not stick to this magnet at all. My brother's made a pretty good joke about how that they use refrigerator magnets, you know, the ones that never stuck to your refrigerator. They found another use for them. They made these new Harley speakers. So here is the upgraded version from Rockford Fosgate. So we're dealing with a CVO. Here's the 6.5-inch Rockford speaker versus the factory one. It looks quite a bit better. It's got more surface area. It's got a larger cone. It's got a little bridge with the tweeter, so it's got a solid woofer. But where they forgot to increase and make it better was in its strength or its ability to handle power. So they put a very efficient, very small amplifier on it, and you get a little bit better sound than you got with those stock base model speakers. Now, just to show you what the Hertz speakers will do, they've got a really, really strong neodymium magnet. That is kind of hard to get the wrench off of once it sticks, so it's very, very strong. This means it's going to have more power handling. It's going to have more control of this woofer, which gives us better clarity. A lot of times I feel like I've got a muddiness and a fluttering sound to the woofer on the Rockford speaker, and I think that comes from there's just no control because there is no real magnetic property to that speaker. These are built much, much better. They're going to handle a tremendous amount of extra power. As I said earlier, we're putting 290 watts to our front channels that are powering our uppers and lowers per channel. So that's a crazy amount of power compared to probably the 50 watts, I'm assuming, that we're getting out of that stock amplifier. So with that extra power, we need stronger magnets, we need stronger suspension, we need the ability to handle it and cool better, and these Hertz speakers do that phenomenally. Now, if we put more power on these speakers, the problem is they can't handle it and they just blow. That tweeter blows very, very easy. The Hertz tweeter actually has a built-in protection circuit that if it gets too hot from a clipped or distorted signal, it cuts itself down. And once they cool back down, they reconnect and your tweeter doesn't blow. It's an amazing speaker. It's why we use it in so many of our builds. Now in the back, we're going to be using the exact same speaker, but it's a solid mid, super strong magnet, no tweeter, because we don't need additional high range from our lowers or our rears. This is going to be more than enough treble, and these going into those ported tour pack enclosures or going in our lowers are going to generate a lot of mid bass. It's going to give us that full enveloping sound that everybody wants in their speaker system. And you'll hear what bass these create while going down the road, unlike a lot of subwoofers. All right, I'm going to let Robbie get back to putting these in the upper pods. One other thing is our Hertz speakers fit without any modification to the fairing pods. A lot of the speakers you buy have strontium magnets that are strong, but they're big. They're not as strong as the Neo magnets on here, and they don't fit without major modification. These are waterproof, they're direct drop-in, they're made for Harley Davidson, and they're the best 6.5 I've found to go on a fairing of any of them yet. So Robbie will get these back together. I'm going to put the SVs in the lowers, and we're going to keep working on. All right, so I want to take a second. I want to talk about our plug-and-play HD Audio by Rockford bypass amplifier setup. So Rockford does this really strange. They take a left and right front-only signal, and they feed it into the amp in that rear bag. At that point, what they do is, through digital CAN, they fade inside the amplifier. But if you ever replace your radio, or if you decide that you want to put another radio in, you got to do something about this because we want to be able to fade. So we put the Soundstream Reserve radio in, which has front and rear fade that's going to work great. If we flashed our stock radio, we lose faders. So we don't have the ability to fade anymore when we flash to a good input signal for our amplifier. But with this, we do. So our workaround for that is this. We're going to keep the rear of the amp powering what's going to the rear speakers. That's also what used to go to the front speakers, but we're going to add on our harnessing, new front speaker connectors. These are the Harley connectors, so there's no wiring to be done. We're simply going to unplug what used to come to the front speakers. We're going to plug this into it. Now, because we're doing lowers, we have our lower T harnessing as well. So now our lowers are plugged in, our uppers are plugged in, all from our amp harness. Now Robbie's going to continue this. He's going to plug in the other side. He's going to clean all this up, and there's a nice area in here that most of this wiring is going to be tucked. It's going to look good when he gets done. But I wanted to explain the difference between a standard wiring setup and an HD Audio by Rockford setup. The other part is our amp bypass plug. We're going to unplug that amp. Here in a minute, I'll show you we'll be plugging in our bypass plug, so there's no wiring to be done in the rear at all. All the factory connectors still work in the bag. Makes it very, very simple for you to do this upgrade without having to go pay somebody to do it. All right, so at the beginning of the video, I showed you everything that we were putting in. I want to show you everything we took out. So the 1 amp that was in the rear bag, I think that's a terrible place to put an amp, and as you saw, we put our new amp in the fairing under the radio behind the headlight in a very unused place. It's an awesome place to put it too because it's close to the radio, easy for all your connections. Had a total of 4 of these Rockford 6.5s, which as we showed you earlier have magnets that are non-existent. We went ahead and replaced all the grills because we wanted them all to match. So now our lower grills match our tour pack grills, match our upper grills, they all match. They look wonderful. And we got rid of these lower covers. I've never been a fan of this texture in this cover. As new as this bike is, it's brand new. You can see how it already has some wear on those lowers, on the liquid cooled lower covers. Much better looking now. We removed that GTS radio. The beautiful part is we have a much better radio now, but these have a pretty strong value in the used market. So even though you've done an upgrade, you can still sell this and recoup part of what you paid for that new radio. But this is all the stuff that the CVO owners are unhappy with. Now don't get fooled. Don't go to your local Harley dealer and put HD Audio by Rockford in your bike thinking it's going to sound great, because it does in the dealership until you pull out and you realize you can't hear it, and it's very distorted when you get loud enough trying to. But let's get our bike fired up. It's all put back together. It looks great. Check out our speakers, check out the uppers, the lowers. Check out just how great this looks on the bike now. Our reserve radio from Soundstream looks beautiful as well. The new grills look awesome matching up. And we've got these metal mesh ones in the tour pack as well. Much, much better look. Now we've already done our polarity test. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse and go through the full thing with you again, but watch our polarity test video. It's where we show you how to make sure all your speakers are in phase, make sure they're all working together. Harley's very inconsistent in how they wire their system. So when you get done, you want to check it in case you need to swap the polarity on one of the speakers so they're all working together to give you better mid-bass. Now we're going to fire this up. As you can tell, it is so loud. It's so loud that my ears can't really handle it at the full volume. We didn't even go all the way there. But our mid-bass sounds great. We're going to be able to hear that well going down the road. Along with a very crisp high range, the tweeters are so much better in these front than what we had in those Rockfords. But overall, just musically, it sounds awesome. If you're looking for something that sounds great, and you don't think distortion is bass and you're looking for clarity, you need a Volunteer Audio plug-and-play system. Our Hertz systems are crystal clear, and the number one thing we get told is, I cannot believe how loud and clear it is. So a lot of systems are loud, but they don't all sound good. And we build an amazing sounding system. Remember, all of our Hertz systems are full 3-year warranted. The speakers, the amp, everything is built to last. It's built for your Harley. The Soundstream Reserve Radio has a 2-year warranty on it as well when you buy it from an authorized dealer, which Volunteer Audio is. You want to make sure you buy your components from a place that's going to be there to stand behind them and give you those after the sales tech support if you go to do your own install. Definitely give us a call at 1-844-30-AUDIO. We'd love to talk to you about your bike, your project, your desires on your audio build, and we can help you whether you decide to do it yourself or if you want to make an appointment, come in and have us do it also. If you have a question about this video, comment below. We're quick to answer. And please like this video. By doing that, it allows other people to find Volunteer Audio. It helps us a lot in our search results. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. By doing so, you're going to see beautiful bikes like this, amazing audio builds, and you're going to be the first to find out about the latest in Harley audio. We're going to show you how to install it, we're going to show you how to use it, and by doing so, you're going to get the most out of your purchase by just following along with us so it's easy to use and you know how to get the most out of it. So we've got a few videos coming up after this one. I want you to definitely subscribe so you can see our Road Glide Mania builds. We've got an RG3 and an ST following this one, so continue to watch Volunteer Audio on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.